To my mind, Peter Green is the greatest British blues guitarist of all time. Unbelievable touch, articulation, tone, amazing note choice, super melodic solos. I just think he brings everything to the table. As B.B. King, the king of the blues, once said, he has the sweetest tone I've ever heard. He was the only one who could give me the cold sweats. Well, if it's good enough for B.B. King, then it's good enough for me. But regardless of where Peter Green sits on your kind of hierarchy of amazing British blues players, it is undeniable that there is so much that we can learn and take from his style. If I was to do a full Peter Green deep dive, this would be a 5-hour video, maybe deconstructing all of the different songs, because there is so much going on and he was such a versatile player. But today we are going to deep dive into the iconic blues kind of pop ballad, Need Your Love So Bad. Here's how the intro sounds. That is a deceptively challenging intro. There is so much going on in it, and everything is played in such a kind of restrained, controlled style that even though it's not fast, it's not flashy, it is really quite challenging to play that in a clean way that sounds interesting and musical. Honestly, there are 20 different things that we could talk about just in this intro, but in the interest of giving you guys the goods and giving you stuff that you can action straight away in your blues guitar playing, we are going to focus on 5 main things that Green is doing there, which you can do to bring a bit of that Greeny magic and just broaden your blues guitar skill set. So let's dive right in. So first up, we have the B.B. King box. I think the love was obviously mutual because there is a huge amount of B.B. King influence in what Green is doing. In this song, in many of his other songs, and I think one of Green's kind of most famous guitar solos, which was taken from a live performance, is actually of a B.B. King song, a cover of a B.B. King song, Got a Good Mind to Give Up Living. Just Peter Green is absolutely ripping in that clip, and obviously B.B. King was the original inspiration for that whole piece of playing. So what is the B.B. King box and how can we bring a bit of a kind of Peter Green approach to it? The B.B. King box is a little pattern of notes that B.B. King used all of the time in his playing. I've actually got a full sort of deep dive into this, which I've linked below. It goes through all of the theory, exactly what's happening in all the notes. So I'm not going to repeat all of that here, but we'll touch on kind of the key points to get you going. It is a mixture of notes from the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale. We can even sort of think of it as the Dorian mode because it's got all of the notes of that mode. But as we're kind of playing in a blues setting, I'd like to think of it a bit more as that major and minor mix. Now in the key of A, which is what we're playing in here and the key of the song Need Your Love So Bad, it's going to look like this. So some of those notes are taken from the major pentatonic scale. So that 11th fret on the G string is from the major. The 12th fret from the B string is from the major as well. And then the other notes from the scale, some of them are from the minor pentatonic and some of them are shared. So notes that appear in both the major and the minor pentatonic. So that 12th fret on the high E is a shared note that appears in both the major and the minor. And the other 2 notes, the 13th fret on the B and the 10th fret on the E, are notes that just appear in the minor pentatonic scale. Now, if this is like totally new to you, then it's going to take a bit of experimentation and playing around with this. But essentially, what we can do is we can mix the major and the minor sounds, and we'll look at this in a bit more detail in a moment, very, very effectively in just that kind of small box shape, just by playing the notes and experimenting around with them. So that creates that kind of bittersweet blues sound, mixing the major and the minor pentatonic. Sounds awesome. And it's a big part of what this intro is all about. It's a big part of what a lot of Peter Green's playing is about, and of course, B.B. King's. Now, there are two. So again, if this is totally new material to you, check out that deep dive below. I'm going to explain exactly how to target each note, how to use these bends, all that good stuff. There are two specific things that Peter Green does, which kind of puts, in this intro, which puts a little bit of a twist, a Greeny twist, on the B.B. King box. The first one is that he slides into and out of it. So if we're playing in A major, we've got obviously in an A major blues, we have our minor pentatonic shapes, kind of our classic A minor. And we have our major pentatonic shapes. So we have all these other notes going on here. The B.B. King box is this little elegant collection of notes that makes it very simple for us to mix those flavors without some of the more complicated stuff that happens there. But what Peter Green does is he will move from this lower note, the 9th fret on the G string, which is a shared note from both the major and the minor pentatonic scale, and he'll get into the B.B. King box in that way. And then he goes again. So it just brings a bit more life. It just brings something slightly different to that. And it allows him to get into that box in a very elegant way, either just by walking up into it or by sliding. As long as you slide there on that middle finger to then position yourself in the box to do the other cool stuff, it's going to be a really, really nice little move. And as you start to build more confidence between, say, the B.B. King box and the other major minor pentatonic shapes, you can do some really cool things there. Kind of joining a thread between the box and those other positions and shapes. So that's the first thing that Green does to put a little twist on it. The second thing, which is a B.B. King thing, but Green really goes into this, is he uses a lot of legato ideas within the box. So what do I mean by that? Basically, hammer-ons and pull-offs. He's not picking every single note. He's really trying to join as many of them together through this kind of vocal fluid idea. So if you just see that kind of opening lick there, there's a lot that you can do on that B string between those two notes. By just combining these kind of fast hammer-ons and pull-offs. You're going to hear that in this track, you're going to hear that all the time in B.B. King's playing. It's a really, really nice way of playing in the box and creating a bit of that kind of B.B. King magic, a bit of that Peter Green magic. So first thing, a huge takeaway that we can get from this track is the B.B. King box and those specific ideas, extending the box by sliding into it or playing up into it, and creating very vocal, expressive and interesting ideas by legato techniques, so hammer-ons and pull-offs on any of the strings, but on that B string is really nice. And then resolving on that tonic note of A with the first finger is just going to sound beautiful. So, huge piece of work there. Have fun with that, experiment with that, play around with the B.B. King box in a major blues kind of setting. Try it over this track if you want. Go and check out the full deep dive before continuing here if you want to get really comfortable. And when you're ready, head over to the second step where we'll look at another kind of big takeaway we can take from this short but beautiful intro. The second big thing that we can take from this intro, and this is really a bit of a continuation from the B.B. King idea, is mixing of the major and minor pentatonic scales. So this is already happening just by using the B.B. King box. But Green does this slightly more obviously when he goes into that kind of second section of the solo and goes like this. So when he goes to that 13th fret of the B string, he is playing the minor third interval. So that is like the most powerful kind of minor interval that exists. It's the real sort of like, you know, the big note of the minor pentatonic scale. And when he moves to that, it creates a much more melancholic sound. It just sounds awesome. So we haven't really heard that come through in such a strong way, and it's so powerful when it does. Now, you can target that idea by kind of sticking firmly within the B.B. King box, if you like. But what I like to do here actually is I like to think about the corresponding minor pentatonic shape that is crossing over with that B.B. King box. So in the key of A, that's our third minor pentatonic shape, and it would be like this. So we would be thinking about 9 and 12 on the G string, 10 and 13 on the B string, and then 10 and 12 on the E string. So many of the notes that Green is already playing. But if you think about switching the kind of mental framework from to then, it creates a big shift from major to minor, moving you from kind of upbeat, slightly more kind of warm blues into suddenly something much more melancholic and aggressive. And if I show you that over the backing track, you're going to really, really hear that kind of come through quite strongly. So there, I mean, I basically followed the framework of what Green is doing, right? But I just kind of kicked things up a notch, really shifting to that minor pentatonic note grouping. And hopefully you could hear this warm, sweet thing then suddenly moving into being a little bit more punchy and aggressive. In that specific position, it's a really, really nice way of kind of creating that movement from major and minor. And again, it's a great place to start mixing the two scales together. The second thing to mention here, and I don't want to kind of throw too much at you guys at one moment, but what is happening, and if you feel comfortable with kind of the chord movements underneath the track, is Green is moving from this kind of A major, like one chord, A major, A7, one chord, to then the 4 chord, which he's playing as a D major. Okay. Now, that 1 to 4 chord movement is normally played in the blues with fully dominant chords, so like A7, D7. But what you get, if you try and play the A major pentatonic over the 1 chord, so when that A7 or that A major is playing, it's going to sound great. And that's exactly what Green is doing over that 1 chord. When the progression moves, in this case to the D, so D major, or if it moves to a D7, that A major pentatonic scale no longer, it works, but there's one note which is going to create a pretty harsh clash. That's the major third from the A major pentatonic scale, the note of C sharp, and it's going to clash with the note of D that's in the chord. So you get this sort of a sound, which is not really kind of bluesy or intentional. It just sounds a bit harsh on the ear. So you can stick on the A major pentatonic over that 4 chord, over this track or over a standard major blues, but it's a bit risky if you don't avoid that C sharp. So what a lot of players will do, again, when they're playing in a major blues, is go A major over the 1 chord, and then when the 4 chord rolls round, the D7, they switch to the minor pentatonic scale. It sounds great, works really, really well. You get that kind of arc of warm and sweet to then more melancholic and aggressive. And it's a great introduction to playing the changes because you're listening out for that 4 chord. When's it arriving? Okay, now I've got to change. Now I've got to avoid that note. So another massive thing that we can take from this short intro, playing the changes, mixing the major and minor in that position here, and moving from major on the 1 chord to minor on the 4 chord. Give it a go over this track, give it a go over other A major blues tracks you might be working over, and it's going to sound just awesome. Next up, bending like Greeny. So this whole intro is just absolutely packed full of bends, and they're pretty difficult to pull off, to be honest, for a variety of different reasons. So the intro starts with one of my favorite techniques and one that I talk about all the time, the double bend. Highly underrated. I see so few players do this, but it sounds amazing. Pretty straightforward, theoretically at least. You just pick the note and you bend up twice. You bend up, let it come down, and then bend up again, all with one strike of the pick. It sounds so nice, and it can help you get way more mileage out of simple note groupings. You can also do this to create a kind of very chilled Peter Green, B.B. King feel, a much more aggressive Albert King feel, or something altogether totally different, a bit more blues rocky, a bit more proggy, Dave Gilmour style. All of these guys are using double bends, and I love them, and you should give them a go as well. And then beyond that, we've just got these kind of really delicately executed bends where they're being held for a long time, and where they're not being allowed to come back down, okay? So I often talk about the journey of the bend. You start at the original note that you're gonna bend, you push it up to the target pitch, and then you have a decision. You can either let it come back down, so the journey of the bend is like up to the note and down, or you cut it up, you cut the note off at the top, and that is what's happening here. So those long held bends you're not hearing them come back down. So that requires you to be pretty on it with the picking hand and making sure that when that bend should stop ringing out, you're not hearing that kind of descending, and you're not getting any unwanted string noise by accidentally clipping the note above. So keep your picking hand really, really close to the strings. And when you want the note to end, you just drop that there and it's going to be cut. And it's going to kill the note in a very, very clean way. It is deceptively challenging to do that, and it really requires you to build that skill in your picking hand. But if you haven't, it's going to change the way that you play lead guitar because you have so many more options. You're not going to be kind of limited to bending all the time and always following the same journey, and it creates a totally different feel. And again, you can use this for some more groove, more melody, more kind of melancholic. It can create so many different feels depending on how you choose to articulate it. But it's another tool in the toolbox, and it's one that I really, really recommend everyone works on. So that is point number 3. Look at those bends. Think about the different ways that he's articulating them, the double bends, and then those kind of bends that are being cut at the top. You're holding them for a long time and then cutting them. It's a great way to build your stamina, build your ability to hold these bends at pitch. So give that a go over this track, or again over other major tracks. Hold those bends and cut them off at the top. It's going to sound awesome. Next up, a little bit of a more theoretical one here, and this is Peter Green's love of the 6th interval. Okay, so what on earth am I talking about? The 6th interval is a major interval that appears in the major pentatonic scale, and it appears as the first note of that B.B. King box. So that 11th fret on the G string in the key of A is the 6th interval. Now, not all intervals, not all notes of the major or minor pentatonic scale are made equal. Some have a more colourful sound than others, some create resolution, some create tension, so on and so forth. The 6th is a pretty colourful sounding interval. Okay, why? Because if we play that 6th interval, say over the 1 chord, like over an A7, then we're getting this kind of a sound in a major blues. Pretty, well, really nice, but pretty jazzy. And Green targets this in a couple of different ways. So in one of those opening phrases, instead of resolving on the tonic, which would be like the more obvious choice, he plays that tonic at the 10th fret of the B and then just drops down and plays the 6th. It's subtle, but it creates a different feel, and you don't have that kind of really strong sense of resolution there. There's a little bit more tension introduced and a little kind of pop of colour. So the second time that he targets that 6th interval is by bending up to it towards the end of the intro solo. Here. So he's bending up there from that 12th on the E string, the 5th in the key of A, up to the 6th. Again, it just sounds lovely. Sounds really nice, brings this kind of sweet flavour into the playing, and it's something else for you to play around with. If you've followed other videos of the channel or other lessons or articles on my website, you'll know I'm always talking about the tonic and how it's amazing as a point of resolution. But we have all these other options, and sometimes targeting them will create different flavours, stronger flavours, more colours, whatever it might be. And the 6th is a great example of that in a major context. You're going to create over the 1 chord that kind of a sound. So nice, really, really beautiful. Proceed with caution, because it can definitely bring maybe too much colour or too much spice for you to handle, depending on what you're used to and what you like. But another great option. Try it there in the key of A, that 7th fret on the B string, in that first major minor pentatonic shape, or in that B.B. King box as the first note that we play there, on the 11th fret of the G string, or by bending the 12th fret on the E string up to the 6th. All of those options work, all of them sound amazing. Experiment, have fun, bring a little bit of that Greeny magic and vibe into your major blues lead playing. And last but definitely not least, no discussion about Peter Green or this intro or any of his playing would be complete without talking about dynamics. Green is one of the most dynamic blues players, I think, of all time. He's a real true master of altering his dynamics and never sort of playing in a way that is like predictable or straight or monotonous. So he's a very melodic player, so even if he didn't use dynamics, his playing would still sound great. But if we take that intro and sort of strip it from dynamics and just play everything at the same volume, you can feel that some of the emotional impact of what's going on is lost. And Green is really managing this so effectively through the intro, playing some notes with a harsher attack, really backing off on other notes, and it keeps things interesting, and the emphasis is always moving. It's never kind of predictable. So we have, there's always these little subtle variations which make everything so much more vocal, so much more expressive. But dynamics, in my experience, is just one of the things that blues guitar players so often leave behind. They get wrapped up in, okay, I need a new scale, I need this, I need to get faster, I need to learn this technique. And they end up just playing in a way that can become a bit monotonous. Everything sounds at the same volume level, and that becomes very boring. That's the last thing that we want to have. So when you're thinking about playing in this kind of slower blues context, there's less speed, there's less to worry about technically in some ways. Think about, okay, how can I place a little bit more emphasis on this note? How can I back off here? Can I be more gentle? Can I dig in a little bit? And experiment. Play it one way, a certain way the first time, play it a different way the second time. Shift your emphasis around by altering the pressure that you use to pick, and it's going to, again, lift the quality of everything that you do. Not just on this intro, but in general. It's an amazing skill to have as a blues player, and one that's going to get you into the territory of guys like Peter Green, B.B. King, Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray, whoever it might be. All of these guys are using dynamics as one of the main tools in their toolkit. And that is pretty much it. A short but amazing bit of guitar playing that is absolutely packed full of kind of juicy ideas that you can use in your blues playing straight away. To play in a major blues, mix in the minor, bring a little sweetness to your bends, bring some variety to your playing, and package everything in a very dynamic way that sounds vocal and expressive. Now, if you are new to our concepts like the major pentatonic scale, how to mix it alongside the minor pentatonic scale, I've got an awesome kind of free ebook with a load of scale diagrams that show major, minor, the crossover, how to blend them in different positions on the fretboard, the B.B. King box, all of this good stuff. It's an amazing resource that will help support you as you kind of, go through this lesson and go through these ideas. It's totally free. Just click the link below, and it's all yours. Otherwise, good luck having fun with this, bringing a little bit of that Greeny magic into your playing, and just working on that restrained kind of just really stripped back style that's not about flash, but is certainly about feeling and that kind of powerful emotional playing that is so essential to the blues. Good luck, guys. Bring the Greeny magic, and I'll see you next time.